here I am, and welcome back to our little tiny homestead. And I'm just kind of out here in my greenhouse, which I love. It's so pretty. My husband built it. I had shown you the beginning of that, and I still want to put together a video that would show the process of how he built it. But I'm just kind of reevaluating everything right now, sitting in the greenhouse and thinking about my gardens, thinking about just life in general and how things are going in the world and in the country and just even in my personal life. And life's hard, and it's very pensive today. So I just came out here, which is a happy place for me because I do love plants. And of course, in the greenhouse, there's not a lot right now. Mostly, I'll show you in a moment, mostly just kind of some house plants that are sitting in here for the time being, and which we'll take back inside in the wintertime. I'm growing some herbs, just kind of almost random things in here. And also we'll be going out and doing a little bit of a tour of the gardens today. And kind of reevaluating what I'm doing here with YouTube as well. And I've come to the conclusion that I'm really doing this as a personal video journal. I know that I'm not one of those YouTubers that has great videos and who's just really good at it. And I know they worked at it and they're doing a great job, but I'm not sure what I'm doing. So right now it's really more of a personal journal for me. Although I do like to share some knowledge that I have, and occasionally I hopefully have a few nuggets that people would be able to use for something. And so tried my hand at a little bit of comedy with my videos, which didn't go over very well. But that's okay. Obviously, I don't have comedic timing. But I'm going to just be doing a few things here today. One of the things I am going to be doing is I'm going to plant some more lettuce. I really planted mostly lettuce in my green stock this year. I had volunteer lettuce that came up, and I want to see if I can get a second harvest of this. It's really hard when it's so hot out in the middle of the summer, but I think I'm going to try it anyway. So I have a variety of lettuce here, and I really just want to try. I'm just going to kind of actually mix all of these seeds, part of them, and throw them in the ground and see what happens. So that should be fun. I'm also going to plant some lupin seeds that I have, or lupine, however you pronounce it. I've never had luck growing lupine, but I put some in the ground. They came up, and not sure they're doing well, but I have some more here. I'm just going to throw them in the ground because what do I have to lose? And we'll see if they do anything this year or overwinter and come up next year. So what I will do right now is I'll show you a few things in the greenhouse, what I'm going to be doing, and then we'll be taking a tour outside with the gardens. But such a pensive day for me. It's not a really sunny day, which is why I think it's so easy to sit in the greenhouse today. It's not extremely hot in here. And I almost came out last night about 9:30 and started a video when the fairy lights were on in here, and it was just really pretty, but not sure how that would have come out. Might not have been real easy to see everything. So in the greenhouse, what do we have cooking? Well, I hope they're not cooking, but aren't those petunias just absolutely lovely? Those petunias were grown from seed by our neighbor, and he does an awesome job with annual flowers. I am actually going to try to start some from seed next year. So I'm really excited about that. That is just such a beautiful, beautiful pot of flowers. I can't get over it. And I could just sit here and stare at that for hours. Honestly, it looks better than many of the other flowers I've grown in pots. It's just overflowing. It's just gorgeous. And then, of course, I have a few other things that I have some watercress here that I can't grow outside because the deer eat it. My asparagus that I'm actually, nobody wanted. I offered this to some people for planting. I think it needs to go out in the ground next year. So I am going to plant it in my own garden, start another row of asparagus. Have some basil, and I'm sorry, I lied. This is spinach. Um, that David wanted, and also we can't seem to grow this outside, so I threw a bunch of seeds in a pot. So we got some spinach hens and chicks that broke off my mother-in-law's plant, and so we just threw them in and had a bunch of old herb seeds and just threw them in this pot. Mostly you'll see basil. I think there's a little bit of fenugreek in there, maybe. I don't know if that's fenugreek. Didn't do very well. It got overrun by the basil, but hey, we're going to dry some basil tonight in the dehydrator. So, and then I have some carrots because we can't seem, excuse me, to grow carrots outside. Ooh, what's happening there? What are these little things? These little bugs. Well, hopefully we'll get some carrots and rosemary, which I'll probably take in the winter. This gigantic, if you grow houseplants, oh boy, this jade plant is my husband's from work. It had a small pot and it fell over. So here it is. He's got another start of it at work. It's more manageable, but yikes. Just it's a monster, basically. And then over here, some impatiens that we had to bring back from my in-laws. They live in assisted living. They were doing some more landscaping, so we brought this home. And then we have this lovely pot. Once again, these are vining black-eyed Susans, and they're very pretty. They're starting to bloom finally. This was also grown by our neighbor from seed. And like I said, we have some houseplants, a cactus we brought back from my in-laws when they had to move, and my friend gave me this amazing plant. Random, of course, another jade. Anybody live locally and want a jade plant, come see me. I don't know anything about orchids. Friend gave me this orchid. Sure wish I could grow an orchid. I think they're gorgeous, but look at this thing. I have no idea what's going on. Wait. What is going on down in there? Is that getting new leaves? Okay, this is very interesting. I had planted this in regular soil, and then it just kind of plopped. That's the word. That's not a very good word for it. It flopped. It died. It was dying. So somebody said, get orchid soil. So I did. It's basically just bark. I know nothing about orchids. Stuck it in here, and now it's getting a new leaf. Okay, this is very interesting. And we have a Christmas cactus and whatever this is. So I really used to grow houseplants, then really started doing horribly with them. So maybe now is a good time to start. In here are Madonna lily bulbs that were doing terribly in my soil in my garden, and thought I would just try to give them a chance, put them in a pot, protect them, see if I can get them to come up. Don't know. I really like to save the Madonna lilies. They're actually bulbs my grandmother had, and so they've been passed down. So we'll see what happens with those. Isn't my greenhouse just so pretty? I know there's a lot of stuff in here. I probably need to get more organized. But I just think it's such a pretty little place. And I mean, we have the lights that come on at night. I just feel so blessed. I really do. I'm not sure I'm as grateful as I should be. So before I go out and do the garden tour, I just want to talk a little bit about this greenhouse. And I was just kind of reminded of something that happened years ago. And I was actually at a arboretum, and there were greenhouses there. And I thought, oh, they're just so lovely, and all the things they grow in there. And and how they're so protected. And I can even see that in my greenhouse, like with those petunias, for example, how protected they are and how beautiful they are. So I was thinking about the greenhouse when I was at that arboretum, and now I'm sitting in my own greenhouse, and how we're kind of, as human beings, and I'm going to just to speak um, as a Christian, because I am, and it's the most important thing in my life, and so that's what I'm speaking about right now. That like a greenhouse, we are fragile. A greenhouse is protecting the plants, but it isn't foolproof. And the plants would not live unless the sun can shine in. Sun, S-U-N. And likewise with us, if we are not letting the sun, S-O-N, in, then we are not going to grow and flourish. So these plants will not flourish without the S-U-N sign shining in. It's very fragile. It's a very fragile thing, the greenhouse, as are we very fragile beings. There's nothing we can do without the sun. And so I just was thinking about that as I sit in here in the greenhouse, and knowing that we are pretty helpless, as these plants are helpless without the protection here. And so just something to think about. So I'm going to pick up my seeds here, and we're going to head out. I'm going to start here, just right outside the greenhouse. This side of my former greenhouse, which was basically a polytunnel, it was just one of those cheap green ones that we had for a couple of years, and of course it began to disintegrate. But anyway, I had beans planted here on this side of that particular structure. And the reason there's no beans here this year is for one reason, because these 4 o'clocks, and I had a short that went up a while back, that volunteered. These 4 o'clock flowers volunteered in a huge mass. And I thought, well, as I usually do, I'll let those plants have their way. And so what I will do is I will put my beans, black beans, fava beans, runner beans, so forth, somewhere else, and make this a lovely, lovely flower bed. So I found some gladiola and dahlia bulbs at Aldi, and oh my word, I've never grown them. How, if you've grown gladiolas, maybe this is not like a shock to you, but how gorgeous are these? And then look at the dahlias. I don't know what's going on in here. There's a yellow one I can see, but look down in there. There's a pink one, I think. I don't know. Pink one in there, maybe? And I didn't know these were 2 plants. I thought it was just one bulb. My goodness. And are dahlias different varieties? I need to do research on dahlias. Look at this dahlia. Different leaf. Really different leaf. And I guess the flowers are going to be coming up here. Unbelievable. Absolutely gorgeous. And I'm so pleased and so excited. I mean, look at this. Look at this little dainty pink gladiola. You see that? So pretty. Orange and pink and fuchsia and red. I mean, I need to now move on, but it's beautiful. Figs. I have 2 potted figs that are getting overshadowed by the dahlia here, but I'm going to do a little bit of research on my poor little figs, because I really don't know what I'm doing. If you want to know what that is, that's Sweet Annie. It's just an herb, which smells amazing. And yeah, just lovely. So I have another fig over here. So here this is the end where I put my beans, since they were not allowed to be in the other section because I had my flowers there. black beans and cowpeas and hadutsu beans, which are from a friend new to me, and then fava beans, all of which are doing okay. Runner beans didn't do well. So we'll be composting this section really well and hopefully do much better next season. This is my strawberry patch. We have very few strawberries this year. We got a few. They were very tasty. We had planted some new varieties. And for some reason, we must have planted some everbearing because we are getting a few more. And it looks like there are also some alpine strawberries, which really are ones that we planted up in the green stop. And that looks like an alpine strawberry. It's good. And over here, this garden we're actually getting rid of. Doesn't do anything. The radishes didn't do great. The ginger is looking, not so great. This is just not a good place to have a garden, evidently. So this one's going to be going. The red raspberries and the black raspberries up top are done. We now have our black berries coming on, which is pretty awesome. I don't know if I'm going to get as many as last year. They're not bad. They taste good. So we'll hope for the best with those. And I just want to show really quick down here where we planted our extra tomatoes. And I give a lot of tomato plants away. And we're not doing anything with these tomatoes, by the way. We just threw them in here because they were extra. And of course, Linda being my friend who passed away a year ago in October. She had cancer and she loved gardening and wanted to get into it more. So I have deemed this Linda's garden, planted some of the things that she really liked to plant and was interested in. So I have pumpkins and corn and cucumbers and some long beans. Long beans isn't something that she had planted, but I'm giving long beans a shot this year. We'll see what happens with them. They look pretty healthy. I did have a bit of an issue with squash bugs early on, but I think I caught them very early. This is a rampicante, however you pronounce that, squash. Looking very much forward. I've heard it's very good and is almost better than a traditional zucchini. You can see they're very long. See this little guy right here just coming on. Very exciting. Very excited to try that. And I just noticed a cucumber down here we need to pick. My husband did early cucumbers. And by that, I mean planted them earlier than I did in another garden. So this one's going to be making some relish today. And so, because I've got to use these cucumbers. So this garden I'm pretty pleased with. I'm hoping we get some pie pumpkins. They're not jack-o'-lanterns, they're not large pumpkins. I just wanted to do the pie pumpkins because that's what I use most. I did have some peas here. Did get a few peas. They're since done. I pulled them out. And this will give the pumpkins more room to roam. And since I did grow corn last year, did not do anything before I got some seeds from my friend Linda. So we did get a couple ears last year. I'm kind of excited. We don't have a lot of sun or room for corn. So that's why there's such a small space there. Such a small amount. These are my currants. And I did make some red raspberry currant jam, which is absolutely delicious. I hadn't made it for years. I never had enough currants. I mean, I haven't had them for years. And this year we had quite a few. These are red and white currants. Next year I'm actually purchasing one more currant bush. It's a pink champagne. Very excited about that. So I'm hoping to get even more. And now behind me, these are our beans. And they've got eaten. There are some blossoms on there still, so which is really good. Don't know if we're going to get anything. I have several varieties: jade, we have blue lake, wax, and a pole bean. We've tried to keep them from getting eaten, we believe, by groundhogs. So we'll see if we get any beans this year. Moving up to this raised bed, these are where we have our peppers, and they actually are doing pretty well. I never have peppers that grow quickly. They're very slow. Maybe that's normal. I did have, I think, possibly, could have been a chipmunk, try a pepper. You can see down on the ground there. And there's one that was eaten off the vine. But those are shishitos. It looks like I'm going to get quite a few. Jalapenos, I'm a little bit concerned about. And generally, I only use those for salsa anyway. The same with jalapenos. And these are my larger, these are Ozark Giants. So sweet peppers. It looks like I might be getting several of those. So that's a good thing. And then lovely nasturtiums that I think just make it even more beautiful when you have some flowers intermixed with the vegetables. And this is our tomato raised bed. Our tomatoes are doing very well this year. We have many varieties. These are the slicers and more of the paste tomatoes. And they're doing very well. I did put a row of dill and basil between them, and it really worked out well. And so I'll be having some dill for my pickles. I will have, and they're supposed to be very good companion plants, helping to prevent pests and such. So I'm really pleased with that. This garden is quite full of phlox and pollinators. And it is a garden that I have been working on for a while, but it seems like it's a little bit crazy and maybe it needs a little bit of refining, but it's a little wild like I can be. So over here is a cucumber patch. This is the cucumbers that I started, and they're actually just starting to make cucumbers. We got little ones here. And we got a few of them. We'll be doing pickles. We did do some pickles with David's a little while back, the early ones he had. And this is my butternut squash, which, as I've been talking about, I did have a problem with some squash bugs early on, but not really here. So we're really hoping that we get some butternut squash, because that's something we do love in the wintertime. And then over here are the lupins I was talking about. They don't look too good. Hopefully can do something with that as far as getting some more planted. And this was where the garlic was. We did harvest our garlic, and what I'd like to do is today plant some lettuce in there. So I will be doing that. And then these are the sunchokes, or Jerusalem artichokes, which I just let come up year after year. They did get eaten a lot by groundhogs this year, which is very interesting. They are related to sunflowers, so maybe those are tasty to groundhogs. And then we have our white potatoes here, which, as you can see, they need to be dug up. They are ready, probably beyond ready. So we'll be digging those up as well. And our sweet potatoes, which are coming back. We had an issue with somebody eating them. I believe once again it was a groundhog. I think that's our main culprit again this year. We had that issue last year. So I think I'd love to get some sweet potatoes. We do eat a lot of those as well. So hopefully we'll be able to get a harvest of sweet potatoes. Here on the deck, I do have my green stock planter, which has lots of things in it, lots of herbs. We have those alpine strawberries I talked about. And we have these little spoon tomatoes. that I've been growing for a couple of years. They're kind of fun. They're these teeny tiny tomatoes. They're just starting to get ripe. And they've been kind of fun. But next year I'm not doing them. It's just, to me, not worth it. My husband's not into those either, so we won't be doing that. But I did harvest a lot of this basil this morning as well. A lot of it has gone to seed. I am going to just kind of laid it here. We're going to go ahead and dehydrate that tonight and just make that into some basil to be used later in recipes. This is the garden next to the house, and we have, looks like we got some weeds. We have some rhubarb here that we got from my friend. I'm saving it actually for my sister-in-law. She lives in South Carolina, and rhubarb does like a colder climate, a colder zone. However, she's going to give it a shot, but we're going to wait till it's a little bit cooler for her to plant that. And we got Swiss chard, which I've been using in salads. And then we have our cherry tomatoes in this section. And the cilantro, which volunteered. And I probably will harvest once again for the seeds, which I did last year. But all the tomatoes are looking very good. It should be another week. Hopefully they'll be coming on. And then we have our green zucchini. Good. Yes, we do have another one coming on, which is great. We've been having only male flowers and didn't think we had any females, but we do have them. Oh, how pretty. This is a mallow that my friend gave me. I did not know it was going to bloom. How pretty is that? This is the prairie mallow I've had. This one's really exceptional. And then we've got our magic lilies coming up already. I'm very surprised that they're coming up this early. Could be wrong though. Maybe this is when they always come up and I just didn't record it before. These are the grapes that we're looking forward to. We did have a little bit of an issue with some Japanese beetles. I did a video on pests. I did not put it out. I didn't really like it. And so I did talk about spraying these with some diluted ivory liquid detergent to help with the Japanese beetles. Don't know if it's made a difference at all. But we do have some grapes, so hopefully that will continue. We won't lose them. I do love how this garden looks with all the pretty flowers. This is the front of the house where I have a lot of coneflower, butterfly weed, tons of ferns, and a lot of phlox as well, and some tiger lily. You see black-eyed Susan over there. It's a wild garden like the back, but I really like it. My bulb fennel is definitely not as good as it was last year. And I used some of it last year for a little bit. I did not use much of it. I kind of like this because the swallowtail butterflies really love it. It's the black swallowtail butterflies. So hopefully I'll be seeing those before long. And then coming around here, some more of those magic lilies that are popping up. If you don't know what magic lilies are, you see the leaves early on, and then later you get these flowers. So leaves and flowers do not come out at the same time. This garden has our yellow zucchini. We've already harvested a couple of those. So they're doing really well this year. Very thankful for that since we got none last year. I did plant my purple sprouting broccoli here. And we got a little bit coming up, not much. This is something that will, sorry, it's really hard to see in there. This is something that will overwinter, but this gets eaten by cabbage butterflies very quickly by the larvae. So we have to cover that as we do this garden, which has all the rest of the brassicas in it. Should be getting some kohlrabi very quickly here. Looks like we're getting a couple bulbs in there, I hope. Somewhere in there we might see some. We also have cauliflower, some kale, and cabbage, and then arugula. But look at that. Looks like we have a little friend that got in there. Isn't that clever? I don't usually eat much kale, to be honest with you, but it's so pretty that I continue to grow it. And then over here, that's where the rhubarb, asparagus, where I'm going to plant another asparagus row this coming year. Some leeks that I let go to seed. So I'll be removing those. And I'll also be today taking these leeks out and spreading them out a bit. This is only one row of leeks this year. That's all I really need. I have a lot that have been preserved from past years. So we'll go ahead and kind of move those around so they have a little bit more space to get big so we can harvest them. So here I have thinned out my leeks and planted them not so much in bunches. And like I said, that's all I really need this year. And this is my roadside not really a wildflower garden. A lot of zinnias, coreopsis, sunflowers. This end of the garden got very eaten by something. Once again, I'm sure it's groundhogs. The further we get this way, past the marigolds, the better they do. Very, very interesting. I really do love pretty flowers in the garden. So here I am back in my greenhouse where I started this video. And thanks for coming along today. And until I see you next time, stay rooted. Bye-bye. It seems like as soon as butterflies sense is clouding up and possibility of rain, they're gone. Just before it started clouding up, there were tons of butterflies all over this phlox, and now they're gone. They're back.